You're now listening to
The Coal Report.
102.3.
Delivering discourse from the black pits of bituminous coal.
This is your granny station.
And we are back for another episode of the Coal Report. And so, for those who don't know, Coal Report is a majority paywalled exclusive little bit that I do, that I have to do more often. It's something for all of my beautiful pay angels. Only $5 a month, patreon.com/Productions. And of course, substack.com, which has both, of all things, free and public versions. Substack.com/Gio's Content Corner. And so I greatly appreciate, especially liking, sharing, commenting, so forth. And if you do subscribe, please DM me about joining the Discord. So anyways, I wanted to do another Coal Report because there's been a lot of discourse. The only real discourse object that I thought was worthy of a serious content-minded feature. So the Coal Report is, again, more topical, more news-orientated, and stuff that I don't want to, content-minded is more for the high, as a flagship podcast is more for the high-minded stuff. The only thing I thought worthy of recently for content-minded was, of course, the olfactory oppression girl. But let's start off today with Trump's comments about annexing Canada. It's just a joke, and the leaf-lib response, and I'm going to try my best not to swear. But it's very funny. Okay, so those who don't know, Trump, he said, he had a meeting with Trudeau, and Trudeau, went to Mar-a-Lago, and they did the business down in the basement, and that was the worst thing ever, was that Trudeau had to apologize to Donald J. Trump. That's a little Honky Tonk Man reference from a shoot interview from the Honky Tonk Man. I think he was talking about Chief Jay Strongbow having to apologize to him when he was the booker for Memphis Wrestling. But anyways, so Trudeau went to apologize to Trump to try to hammer out this tariff thing, which I knew was just a bluff because that's basically like art of the deal stuff. But then Trump made this joke saying that, Trudeau is a great governor of Canada, the 51st state? There's only 50 states in America, right? Let me check before I'm totally embarrassed. Yeah, I was right. There's 50 states, but then there's 5 major territories. Hawaii's a state. It's not a territory. I think Puerto Rico's a territory. Canada could be a territory, but no. But anyways, all these leaf-libs, they were blowing their stack on a joke, and it's very funny. There was this one in particular, although he claims to be like a conservative that doesn't like Polyev, meaning he's pretty much just a leaf-lib. And of course he follows all the other leaf-libs. And that's very a convenient subversive trick that they do, is to say that they're conservative, which they're not. But anyways, his name is Rod Cox something. It's a joke name, but it's just, I've had this guy blocked for a while. And he said like, it's not a joke, and I'm Canadian, and we're let me look up, because I've been basically pelting the TL with my fire takes on the incident, and so yeah, it's this. Let's go to it. Oh boy, and there's this other article by John Ivetson in the National Post that all these leaf-libs were descending on. So, yeah, here goes Roddy. The President-elect of the United States of America, even joking about the annexation of Canada, is an assault on our sovereignty. F everyone in the U.S. who jokes or laughs at this. This is even effing funny. As a Canadian, I'm not effing laughing. F you. Wow! Oh, boy, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. That's insane. But But I said that this is the only time leaf-libs like this one will ever act like Canada is a real nation with a real identity and not a post-national bedroom area / economic zone / human dumping ground for foreign powers. Totally pathetic. Trump lives rent-free in their heads, which is 100% true. And this is the problem with all of these leaf-libs now having to admit that there's something to defend. And people were in my comments saying about that, Canada really is an afterthought of the British Empire, and the reinventing of Canada, or rather the Americanization of Canada, that despite, Trudeau hating Richard Nixon and hating red state America, essentially led the way to the Americanization of Canada, first and foremost, before like full-on internet age globalization Americanized the rest of the world. And so John Ivetson has this article where he's not exactly advocating for annexation. He's just saying that it's stupid. I might read the article. Then this other leaf-lib saying, traitor says what? Move if you want to be with your American masters. My family are Canadian and free and strong. And I said that what is Ivetson being a traitor to? Can you leaf-libs even come up with a viable definition of what makes Canada a unique nation? Doesn't your values preclude such things as a national identity? Right? Remember, it's the first post-national nation. Traitor to what exactly? Even being this mad about a joke and treating it as a national security threat proves you will never escape the clutches of Americanization, because all Canadian libs, all leaf-libs, are essentially just spiritually blue state Americans. Their superiors are the Democrat Party in America. That is what they get their cues from. That is what the interpolation, the sort of like weird hermeneutical circle between media in America that's largely generated, that being, the culture industry, news, and so forth, popular media, pop media in America being largely generated by blue state Americans, coastal city people that hate the heartland, that hate red state America. They then transpose their definition and their picture of Americana into other countries, and Canada especially, because of their sort of negative sense of we are not American. And this is where I disagree heavily with J.J. McClellan, who has been posting all sorts of coal since Trump's supermajority. He says that it's like a left-wing version of Canadian nationalism. I really think it's not. It's an anti-identity. Because if it truly was a Canadian nationalism, they would build this identity besides just being a lib, or multiculturalism, or in other words, a nihilative nothing that constitutes what Canada is. This is what I mean. You can't call it a left-wing Canadian nationalism. It's an anti-nationalism. And so I said, so another person, Paranoid Humanoid, another leaf-lib, says, Canada is not the U.S., we're a blend of American and European democratic systems. So you're saying you're not the U.S., but just that you get most of your culture, most of even your legal system, now that the British are sort of like irrelevant, you get most of everything from America, but you're like, we're still not America. Does that really make sense? Over 60% of Canadians would prefer the latter. Any Canadian who wishes to live elsewhere can F off. And and I said, that they will in fact never come up with a definition of what Canada means to them within their left liberal framework. And this is important, without resorting to the language of nationalism, reactionary thought. And so this is the problem. They can never come up with a true definition of what Canada is within the framework of left-wing Canadian politics. That isn't just, I'm not American. That's the big problem. Now, people have accused me of many years of being an America boo, and maybe I am, right? But the thing is, I don't really go fully along with it. I know it's a funny joke about Canadian annexation, but the thing is, like, I think that Canada could have had a potential to create something different, and maybe I'll bring on someone like Black Horse or someone else to talk about this. But the point being is that the thing is, things are really blackpilling in Canada. And Poilievre isn't going to save us either. I mean, he's a little bit of an improvement, but the narrative from the People's Party is more or less correct. that the two major parties are more similar than they are apart. And it's just that Poilievre looks good by happenstance of not being Justin Trudeau. There was this other glow in the dark that I'm not going to mention. He's like one of these fake glowies that's also friends with another fake glowy who lies about everything. I think his name is, I'm not going to name him, but he's like, Justin's doing a good job, and there's this conspiracy from right-wing America to subvert Canada because, Mike Cernovich made a joke once about weave, and Tucker Carlson's involved, and it's all about Russia and America, and American right-wingers funded by Russia, and they're all subverting Canada because they supported the trucker protests, right? And there's Canadian Antifa people that have the same narrative. But the thing is, in their schizo-paranoid mind, there can never be an organic thing. It can never be that right-wing Americans see what's going on in a fellow brother nation that's more close to America than any European country. We come from similar circumstances. We come from apart from the French, even in America, certain parts of America do have a large French influence, but it's more so Germanic. When it's not British, it's Germanic, right? It's Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, whatever. But the point being is that Anglosphere Canada certainly comes from the same origins as America. We certainly have a more rapport with each other than a lot of European nations that a lot of Americans treat as sort of like a tourist hub. So these people, they can never think that anything's organic. There's always some, what did Hillary Clinton call it back in the 90s? Some vast right-wing conspiracy. And it's always Russia because, of course, a lot of, I can't mention it because I'll get, YouTube, whatever, to say that there's an undue influence of a foreign nation from Eastern Europe and Canadian governance, But anyways, whatever. The point being is that it can never be organic. It can never be that right-wingers in America, they see a fellow brother nation, they talk to right-wingers such as myself on a daily basis, on Twitter and other social media platforms. Because if you're anyone on the right in Canada, chances are you have friends in America. It's not that people like Tucker Carlson see the ludicrousness and the ridiculousness of what went on for those years and the response of the Trudeau government and what a laughingstock our nation's become. And they say, you know what? Yeah, I will signal boost my friends. Right? Gord McGill, he's a friend of mine. He went on Tucker. Is he a foreign agent? Is he getting paid in rubles? Did Tucker Carlson even pay him for his appearance or whatever? The point being is that it can never be organic. This is the conspiratorial mind that leaf-libs have because they, and again, a conspiracy theory, I don't think is a totally illegitimate thing. And yeah, okay, is it true that certain foreign powers may be paying off both right-wingers and left-wingers? Yeah, okay, that's true. Is certain Russian government things they're paying coal merchants like Tim Pool or whatever? Yeah, whatever. But the point being is that when it comes to actual media, when it comes to the media cycle, right-wingers in America, they see that their friends are struggling under an insane government. And so, of course, they're going to be like, yeah, look, my friends in Canada, look what they're going through. You don't have to be paid off by the Russian Israelis. Oh, I'm sorry, did I allude to someone there? The Russian Israelis. Yeah, you don't have to be paid off by a foreign government to point out the ridiculousness of Justin Trudeau. And by the way, to this glowy or pretend glory or whatever, to even tweet that Justin's doing a good job. Something has to be deeply wrong with you, or you have to be like a legitimate Canadian government bureaucrat to utter those words, Justin is doing a good job. Right? But it's like, all those people that went to Ottawa to protest, all of them were individually being paid off by foreign governments or right-wing dark money or Peter Thiel. No, it's not that they didn't want a certain medical procedure forced upon them. That was a condition of their livelihood. So you know what? I have no respect for leaf-libs that are really blowing their stack on Donald Trump making a joke. Because they could never come up with a viable definition of what a Canadian identity even is within their left liberal framework. Okay? That's true. They have to resort to the language of nationalism. They have to resort to the language of the right. How can you say that Canada is this great progressive nation? And how John Ivison, he wrote that article that he's a traitor. A traitor to what? A traitor to state-enforced multiculturalism? A traitor to this picture of Canada as a nowhere land? A massive non-place that the rest of the world can send their trash to deal with, so we could deal with their problems? So countries like India and China don't have to deal with their own problems. They could just send them here to Canada or the Middle East. Right? Remember, a lot of Bin Laden's family came to Canada. Anyways, the point being is that for many, many decades now, they've had this smugness about the greatness of Canada. But they can never define what Canada really is. And all of those things, because of the dominance of the Liberal Party, because of the dominance of progressive radical liberalism in Canada, all of those things that the leaf-libs hold so dear over the heads of Americans, that we're better than them. All of it, lack of crime, better health care, better public services, all of that being eroded away. Do we have better health care than America? I doubt it. Is there more crime now than ever in major Canadian cities? Yep. Maybe not to the level of Americans, but it's getting there. Better public services? I mean, come on. Let's be real here. A better... what did Bret Hart say in his promo back in like 98 or 97? What was it? We don't have guns and racism. Yeah, well, of course we don't have guns, but, the racism thing, well, I don't know, that's like, whatever, that's like a wholesome Chungus leaf-lib thing. But, the average Canadian, certainly getting there, not to say that it's a bad thing, but, in terms of, like, actually thinking, okay, maybe it's not good to bring in massive numbers of people from a totally different culture and overwhelming every single institution and system and way of life and forcing Canada to the brink. So yeah, I mean, hey, well, in other words, the Liberal Party and Canadian libs have made their own bed and now they're forced to lie in it.